live podcast before, so this is kind of cool.
Yes.
The podcast itself, I asked the other day when I started the podcast, and it was in 2019.
2017.
Okay.
I started mine in 2019.
2017. 2017. So it's interesting because now everybody has a podcast. So I feel like I was a pioneer in the podcast world, which was really good. And the whole premise of Women Express was because I was teaching presentation skills, but I have a soft spot in my heart for women because I think we hold the power, and sometimes we just don't know it, that we're holding it, and we don't know how to identify what it really is, because power, in many ways, we've always identified it with the male paradigm. We've never looked at it from a feminine perspective. We never thought that what we had, the things we do, whether it's a different approach or emotional intelligence, the softer skills, we never saw those as powers, and they really, really are. So Women Express came out of the Women Express summits that I was doing, and I started them actually 25 years ago was the first class that I did. And it's amazing because my stories, I have a girlfriend who asked me, she said, you give so much of your attention to your children, why? And she doesn't have kids, so she doesn't understand this bottom line, but most of my programs, most of my business ideas come from some experience that I had with one of my children. So Women Express, I'll tell that in just a second, but Speaking with Impact was actually started. We teach public speaking skills to executives, and it was actually started 33 years ago when Nia was born. And she was born 6 days after my first big class with Nike. It was my very first class. Yeah, I was very pregnant, but I was like, I'm sorry, I'm getting this business. I'm just going to have this baby right here because we are going to do... We're going to do
Nike.
This class.
So I've been here since day one of the business. She's been here since day one, and we're still going strong. Selena is the manager of the office space that we work in, and we have been in that office space on and off, but mostly been there for over probably almost maybe 12 or 13 years. So we're established here in Washington, and a lot like Casey, sometimes people, because our clients have been global and mostly from the West Coast where I started the business, they are not so much East Coast, they're not so much the DC area. So like you, we keep trying to do things so that people know who we are, because the people on the West Coast who know us and they use us and still are. I mean, Nike's still a client. But it's interesting to just get the name out there, so I really appreciate you all coming. Women Express started out with a class that I did. I did some for Nike, but this was a class that I did, just an open enrollment class. And women signed up and came because they just really felt like they needed to have something that gave them more power. And my second child, Emmett, was the inspiration around Women Express because he had just been born and he had a little bit of challenge in his world when he was born. And it really took me to the depths of my soul and made me have to look at, what does it mean to be a mother? What does it mean to be a woman? And that's where Women Express really, really started. So 25 years ago, I did my first class of Women Express. So that's putting blast out on Emmett and Nia, but they were a big inspiration about why I'm here and what I do. And I think that for all women, we may not be mothers, but all of us have things that we nurture, people that we nurture. We were talking about the kids that were born in 1999 who don't quite know how to run business, and we were just having that experience that we all somehow nurture and give and support and cradle and love the people around us, the community around us. And one of the biggest things that I think is a superpower for women is community. Community is a big part of it. So that's the story of Women Express, and that's the story of how we got here tonight. And I'll let Nia, what we're going to do is we're going to do kind of a interview style. She's going to interview me. I'm going to answer some great questions, and then we're going to open it up for the group to ask questions too. Yes, great. Well, welcome everyone. This is a huge dream of ours to have a public live podcast recording. As you know, we've been doing this podcast for quite some time. Yes, in such a wonderful setting. We're so lucky to be part of this luxurious brand.
Beautiful clothes.
What we're going to talk about today are three things. First, we're going to talk about personal style and presence, and then we're going to talk about power. So what does it mean? How do you show up? How do you add presence with your energy and your voice? And then what does power really mean for women today? And as Denise said, we'll definitely want to hear from you guys. We know this is a small, intimate group, so we don't want you to feel like we're just talking at you. We want it to be involved, everyone. So the first thing that I'm going to ask Denise is about personal style. So, as we know, as humans, when you walk into the room, everyone makes assumptions based off of what they see. That's just natural. So, style communicates before you do, but what is your take on how style plays a role into presence and leadership?
In communication, we have a thing that we say as part of our brand of Speaking with Impact, that people leave our program with signature style. So signature style is the natural who you are already, coupled with some skill sets that will help you really polish that way you are, the naturalness of you, who you are. And those two things put together create the presence or signature style. It's interesting that you would ask that question about power and all of that, because actually the first class that I did was called The Power of Your Presence. And presence is the fundamental piece of creating who you are. And we aren't just born with it. We know how to be who we are, and I think women have more challenges around trying to express who we are. But when you couple it with some skill sets, which like eye communication and knowing how to stand, those things really help you to ground that authenticity of who you are and to help get it out there. And public speaking is a big way to do it. Public speaking helps you really define yourself. But being in this space today, it's interesting because the things that you decide to adorn your body with also make a difference. And do you have other questions around that? Because I don't want to go too far.
Well, I think the biggest thing that we talk about a lot is, welcome. With personal style, I think you and I both have found what works for us as like a power outfit. How many of you have like a power outfit when you know something important?
That's the thing.
Yes, we all have that signature thing that we wear that makes us feel really, really good. But how do you develop that? How do you like dig deep and figure that out if you don't? Because I think one thing we always say in our classes, one of the first things we talk about is dress and appearance. And it is the first thing that people see. It conveys confidence, but for women, there's a large spectrum of what we can wear that's appropriate and inappropriate. So what would you suggest?
For women, it's very, very interesting. I was working with a woman at Nike, and she was trying to move up in, now Nike in those earlier days was really male-oriented, period, end of story. You know, there were a few women running around, and we liked those women running around, and they did great things, but it was really a male-oriented environment. So what she wanted to do, she wanted to move up, but she wasn't wearing the clothing that supported that, because Nike's a sports environment. So sports for the men, that's easy. Khakis and some kind of polo shirt. Ta-da! That's what happens. And the bottom line is, and you know, if it had a swoosh on it, all the better. But for women, the spectrum is so broad. I told her, you really have got to wear a pantsuit. You've got, because pants are a thing, you know, you really have to wear a pantsuit. A dress for her like this would not be appropriate at Nike, but a pantsuit. So she did. And you all will get a kick out of this. It was a great little pantsuit, but it was in those days, you know how they made pants that kind of came down on your hips? She was doing this big presentation and she looked so beautiful, and she bent over and her thong came riding out of her pantsuit. So you do, I mean, I have to give her credit because she was trying and she was taking the direction and doing it, and she looked great. But you have to take the moment to really decide, a couple of things. What makes you comfortable is part of it, but what makes you show up in power? And power means that I feel good about myself, I feel confident about myself, and that's what really will make a difference. The interesting thing about going into the virtual environment, we took our program virtually in 2020, and I just decided, okay, number one, my commute went from probably 30 minutes to 2 minutes, which means you know what happens when we have extra time. Or if you have babies, that's the other place. When you have babies, you know what happens. You're the last person to take a shower if you shower, and you're the last person to get dressed, and maybe you have on makeup, maybe. So I decided, okay, so since it's a 2-minute commute, and I'm going to stay in bed until the last minute, I know I am, so I needed to come up with a uniform. And the uniform in the wintertime is a black polo. I don't have my signature pearls on, but I have my signature pearls, and and a pair of black pants. Really important. The pearls are on me. Yeah, this is it. This is the signature style. And I just would wear that, and that's what I would wear. And in the summertime, it kind of goes the same. I showed up today. I had on a black top and my black skirt and my pearls. So you find something that makes you feel powerful and you wear it. And don't underestimate. That's why I'm loving that we're here tonight, because don't underestimate. Go for the best. I had someone tell me once, and he told the whole group, he said, buy the best thing on the rack and wear it all the time.
Right.
Just
so
wear
don't
it
be
all
ashamed
the time.
of re-wearing outfits.
No, buy the best thing on the rack.
We really do. For our trainings, we re-wear the same thing every single time.
Yeah, we sometimes show up in same thing.
About 4 different things.
Yeah, it's our uniform.
It's the uniform.
But the uniform should be, and I told the Nike story on purpose because the uniform should elevate you. She took it to the next level, but the pants were still too casual. So the thing is that if you want to move up the ladder, if you want to just be visible, forget moving up the ladder. What if you just want to be visible? What if you want to sit at that table and people just kind of go, or when you walk in the door, people just notice you? And most of us shy away from that, especially women. We shy away from that because we don't see it as a power, but it is. It's a power. And the way you show up is the way that people will make a difference. You can make a difference in your life.
That's perfect.
Signature style.
Segue into presence. And what you just said, a lot of times women unintentionally or maybe intentionally minimize themselves, whether it's the space they take up in the room, the way that we sit, the way that we stand, to making our voices softer to fit in, or wearing outfits to try to fit in, such as the women at Nike. So let's walk everyone through some ways that they can change their presence and really show up confidently and take up space without it being too feeling overpowering for ourselves, just a natural way to take up some space.
We use there was a study done by Albert Moravian, professor at UCLA, and it was done in the 70s actually, so it's been out there for a long time, but it's still tried and true. And the study found that when people are being trusted and believed, so like you're looking at us, how do you trust and believe us? 55% of that trust and belief comes from what people see, not from what they hear. It's what they see. And dress and appearance is a part of that. It's actually one of the first things that people see about you is the way you dress. And then the next thing is how you carry yourself. And that would be presence. Presence is the way you carry yourself. It's the way that you walk into a room. And it's deliberate. I mean, how often do we walk in deliberately? You know, just, oh, I'm going to walk in today. It can make a difference between having someone say yes to you for a job or no for you for a job. It's just the way you show up. So it's a very good question in the sense of presence is just having that way of being that you believe about yourself. So how do you get to that belief about yourself? In that study by Moravian, we use a diagram or an analogy of a spaceship. Now, in the spaceship at the top is all the AI, all the intellectual property. Maybe there are astronauts in there. All that's there, but it's not going to go anywhere unless there's this propulsive energy from the bottom. You know, you've seen that big white cloud of fire and propulsive energy. It doesn't happen. But even with all that energy, this is not going to go anywhere, or it might veer off in some direction if the energy isn't going through that cylinder called the rocket. And that cylinder for you is your body. That's your body. We underestimate what these things can do for us, our bodies. And that energy is the person you are. And not all of us are like, I'm the Energizer Bunny. Now that I'm getting a little bit older in life, I'm not so much the same kind of energy that I used to have, but I still have energy. I still have that thing that when I turn on, you can see the light, And
where I'm the opposite, I have anxious energy, or I'm a little bit more introverted, but when I know what to do with these skill sets to be able to turn on and show up and be more extroverted. But one of the key skills to doing that is what I like to call the fake it till you make it skill. And it's the number one thing that I do when I'm preparing for anything, and that's what we call the ready position. So I'd love for everyone first, let's take a look around the room. We do have some men in here, but generally, how is everybody looking right now?
Yeah, just look around the room and see what you see.
What is our presence? How are we showing up? Right. So the ready position is a skill to show up looking confident and looking neutral. So I'll have everyone stand up with us. We're going to do it standing first.
Oh, well, we never just talk.
We never just talk.
We never just talk.
So the ready position is place your feet directly underneath your hips, so about hip width apart, not too wide, not too close. And then stand, just relax with your arms at your side.
Just put your arms down by your side.
Now,
you don't want to hold your hands because
front,
this is called posturing.
Behind.
So you just want neutrality.
Pockets. So this reads nothing. Now take a look at everyone. Just looking confident and taking up space. Now for women, what we say is you can take up even a little bit more space. Not a huge wide stance, it's a little too posturing, but you want to make sure that you're taking up the space when you walk into the room. So this is the ready position standing. Now seated, everyone take a seat, and you're going to sit right on the edge of the chair without flipping it over. But sit on the edge of the chair, and then the same thing, your feet are going to be about hip distance apart in front of you. And your arms just relax naturally on your legs or on the chair or on the table.
And if you have on a skirt, you still want to sit on the edge, but because I have high heels on, I can't do it so well.
It's a little bit harder, so you push back.
But you want to push back just a little bit and bring your feet out. But still uncross your hands. And I would say flat, make sure your feet are flat on the floor so that it makes the body kind of like square. So that what you see is just
presence.
And presence, that's what you see.
A confident, neutral presence.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say, depending on the meeting too, if you're in a room and it's majority male, take up even more space. Cross your legs like they're crossing their legs. Lean on the table really wide, having your arms set out further. Just really command the space and don't be afraid to take up that space.
The ready position will do that for you, especially if you don't cross your hands and your feet are flat on the floor, because you're not trying to sit like this because that's weird. You're really just relaxed, and sitting on the edge of the chair makes you come forward. You want your energy to come forward because my energy is forward and I'm here, and it forces you to be here. And that is one of the skills that will immediately make you come across much more powerful. Immediately. I mean, you just saw it. You just saw it.
Each other. And it feels weird. It always feels a little bit weird, but we're not going for how you feel. It's that trust and believability in what the audience is perceiving of you. We want to ensure that you're looking confident and neutral and not giving any mixed signals with your body language.
And I used to, I should say I used to do it, I still do it, but I will tell a client, and in the workshops that I'm in, I will tell them in a heartbeat, you need to go to some place like St. John's and just try on everything. Try on everything. Go to the most expensive place and try it on. You can always back out of that once you've tried it on, but once you try on those really fine looking things, there's something about you that just goes, oh my goodness, and you expand the way that you see your life. And if you're just buying one thing, that you're going to wear over, that's your power suit, then maybe you spend a little bit more. I know when I first moved to San Francisco to work for this big company that taught communication skills. And literally, I had been like a little yogi. I had been doing all these yoga retreats, and I taught TM, and I had just been a little
living in India.
Louisiana. I was just out there being life. But this was my first, I had done some corporate jobs. I'd worked for Dean Witter, which nowadays is Merrill Lynch, I think. And I just got a corporate job. A friend of mine told me, okay, let's get you a corporate job. I'm like, okay, whatever. I can speak, I teach TM, I could do that. So I go in, and that advice came to me, find that one thing. And I'll never forget, I went to Nordstrom on Market Street in downtown San Francisco. And in those days, you couldn't wear pants in corporate America. You had to wear skirt and the little stupid bow tie, that whole thing. So I went in and I went to Evan Bacone. For me, that was the most expensive, but I had tried on all the other things. And I got a black jacket, true to form. I got a black jacket. I got a pair of black pants just in case I was doing something outside of Decker. And I got the black skirt. I did not buy the bow tie. I was not going there. But I did buy this little Cuba doll. You know what that is? The little African doll that has the big head and the body that looks like that. I bought that because I wanted to have my own signature. I wanted to say, I'm African American without having to say, I'm African American. So it was right there with me the whole time. And I bought probably 4 silk blouses in beautiful colors. And that's the beauty of the spectrum that we're on as women. We can buy colors. We can buy things that are colorful and still, look at that gold suit over there. You can buy colors, or you can wear something white and then wear a beautiful gold necklace to go with it. But spend the money on that one thing. You'll be surprised how it changes the way people think about you. It changes the way you think about you.
Yes.
And that's the most important thing, because we don't give ourselves the value that we deserve. And so being in a place like this or shopping in a mall like this is an important feature. Just try it all on. I used to tell my clients, get yourself it was so funny because I lived in Oregon, and Oregon's a little granola.
Very casual.
Very granola.
Very casual.
Just a little. They've come a long ways, right, Emmett? They've come a long way since then. But the bottom line is I would tell them, there was a Saks Fifth Avenue in Portland, which is weird, rare. I was wondering why it wasn't in Seattle, because Portland was so much smaller. But they had a bigger, I guess in those days it was online, it was early online. They had a bigger online audience in Portland, Oregon. So I would tell them, go down and actually I took the whole group. We went down to Saks Fifth Avenue. We went into Saks. First stop was Bobbi Brown. Get your makeup done. Please, wear some makeup, could you? That was our first stop. Second stop was Personal Shopper up on the second floor. And we would just have so much fun trying on all these different things. And people would come out with a different way of looking. And I'm sure, Casey, you have that experience when women come in and they find themselves in here. Yeah. Because it's the fundamental piece of stepping into your power as a woman. It's fundamental. We're the only species, well, I shouldn't say that, not the only, but who we are as women, automatically, we have the right to wear lipstick, we have the right to wear eyeshadow, we have the right to wear mascara. We already have the stuff, so go for it.
And then really makes me think too, so having all the style, how you show up physically, but I think there's a place that happens a lot for women, and I personally have been discovering I'm doing this. I was told the other day that before I say things, I say, to be honest, or something along those lines. It's almost apologizing before I even speak. And I didn't know I was doing that. I was told that. And I work in communications where I call people out all the time for their filler words and non-words. And here I have one that's so big, such as that. How do we stop dumbing ourselves down or holding back? How do we create more opportunities to step into our power when speaking? One thing about stepping into your power is there are levels of it.
I was just thinking when you said that, there's some things that I don't do anymore as a woman that I wouldn't do. I don't have a problem raising my hand and asserting myself in a meeting. You know, I know, Nina, you are a part of a construction company and you're one of the owners of the construction company. Talk about male-oriented. You get to a place where you learn to do that, but there's certain levels of asserting yourself. You know, certain levels. When you said that, I was just in my mind going, what is the new level? There's some new things that I'm working on. But start where you are. Maybe it's just watching what you say, or, oh, I'm so sorry I said that. That's another one. Or, and I do that. Or, oh, really? Or someone says, you look great, and you go, not really. Thank you is good.
I'm really tired today.
Thank you is good.
I don't have any
just
makeup
say
on.
Thank you, you know, and maybe I don't have my leg. But here's what I tell women, especially, and I got in trouble for it, but I really don't care. There's just some things I don't care about. There was one, we were doing a Speaking with Impact class online in the early 2020, and I used to tell people, especially the women, not people, but women, keep a tube of lipstick right by your computer because there's nothing worse than showing up online and you just look barefaced. And so someone gave me feedback that I shouldn't tell, and I don't care. I'm telling you, I have my Ruby Woo Mac, Ruby Woo. I keep it right by my computer because there are times when I roll out in that 2-minute thing and I don't have on anything, but a little bit of red lipstick does it, and it's become a part of my personal style.
Yeah.
So with the ready position, that makes your body intentional and ready to fuel the energy that's inside of you, because all of us have it to every degree. You've got to figure out what that is for you. Each of you have something. That ready position will help you bring it out. And then find those things that adorn your body. I love the word adorn, because as women, we can do that. That's expected throughout history. Of all the things in history, history has tried to downplay us for a very long time. But the one thing that it is, women adoring themselves has always been there in history. So take advantage of it and allow yourself to step up in your power in that way.
Is there a way that we maybe you don't have the title, maybe you aren't a leader, but you want to practice those skills? How can you try on leadership skills as you're growing in? Well,
you just talked about one of them, and we just talked about how you appear, dress and appearance. But the other thing is, the reason why I do, you know, everybody kind of tries to find their mission in life or their purpose in life. And as I said, mine is always evolving, and it still is. But one of the reasons why I do this is because I believe, especially at this time, because you and I have had this conversation about you, especially at this time, we have things to say. I can tell you, when I come to do workshops with women, I never have to tell us to talk. But put us in front of somebody or put us where the stakes are high, and we don't have anything to say. We have a lot to say. So you have to figure out, just like putting on those clothes and coming down and finding your Ruby Woo or whatever that is, you have a conversation that you talk, something that you say all the time. And that's something that you say all the time is what you believe. And that belief might be evolving. I keep looking at Nina, because Nina and I have been talking about some of the things that I believe she's here to talk about on this planet. And each of us has something that we're really here to talk about. And as women, we're uniquely, I do believe, uniquely qualified to do that conversation. Yet we hide behind everybody else. I hate to use all of the Nike stories, because there are other women that I've worked with that are incredible, but I had this one woman who was a VP at Nike. They were sitting at this big table. They have these big conference tables, very masculine looking conference tables. And there were two women in the room. It was my Pamela, my client, and another woman that was with her. They were colleagues. Pamela was a VP. The guys were up doing all kinds of things on the board and talking about all this stuff and what's the next thing and what season and blah, blah, blah. And they were having all that conversation. And Pamela knew the answer to something. She knew it like she knows the back of her hand, but she didn't say anything. So on the break, They got a break. She went out and talked to her colleague who was also feeling the same thing. Neither of them had said anything. So they made a pact that they would go in and one of them would bring it up. The situation here is it was a female thing because they knew, but everything in the culture had told them that their conversation wasn't valuable. So I would say, look for those conversations that you have, especially, it doesn't have to be at work, it could be in your day-to-day. Look for those conversations that you have that make a difference, that you're saying over and over, and say them. Start saying those things, because that's why Women Express exists for that.
One of the ways that we practice doing that in our workshops is two ways. First, we love to keep things in threes. So if you have ideas, try to break down that message into 3 key points. And maybe if you're in a meeting, you hear something like, oh, I know a topic, I know this topic, I want to say something, just jot down 3 things about it quickly, maybe just in 1 word. Mm-hmm. But the other way, if you're still trying to define what your signature is as a leader in your professional life, go through the process of asking yourself, who are you? What do you do? And this can be, what do you do in your role that you're currently in at work? What do you do for hobbies at home? What do you do amongst your friends? What is your role in your family? That kind of defines what your role is or what you do. And then the third piece to that is, what are you really good at? And that's whether it's at work, again, with your family, in your day-to-day, how you exercise, or how you cook, your hobbies, finding what you're really good at and putting those 3 things together, who am I, what do I do, and what I'm really good at, can help you know when to insert yourself in certain conversations or in certain places, or where to go to define yourself, to learn more and grow in spaces, maybe going to different events. I'm really good at this, so I'll go to events that are similar. So these are some ways that you can really define that leadership within. What is your power? What is your superpower?
Raise your hand and talk.
Yeah.
Just get into the practice of, yeah, I saw that, even if you feel like it's like stupid what you just said. And most of the time,
but first sit in the ready position.
But be in the ready position and go, just say it. Just raise your hand and start saying it, because you're building a muscle is what you're doing. So you just start saying it, and people might look at you cross-eyed, but generally speaking, people aren't looking at you cross-eyed because it's something you said. They're digesting. They're looking at it from their perspective like, And some people just have those resting bee faces, and you look out there and you go, oh my God, they hate what I said. That's not what's going on. They're just processing. So then when you feel that nervous energy come up, just straighten your ready position and sit there, and then ask another question or assert another idea. And before you know it, you'll begin to be lead in conversation, because your innovative ideas will get out there and make a difference to the world. This time in our world space right now is critical for our voices as women to be heard. And we can't sit back and decide that, oh, I'm not bringing something. You're bringing something. You're bringing something to the table. So just keep raising your hand and it will start to formulate itself. Think about those 3 key things that Nia is talking about. I've seen not just women, but even the men that I'm interacting with and coaching, just this alone.
Who are you? What do you do?
Who are you? What do you do?
And what are you really good at, or what is your professional or
What's
personal
your brand? Your personal brand.
What do you bring to the table, or what is your key thing about you that makes you special?
And what you'll find, you can see I get really passionate about this stuff. What you'll find is that personal brand is something you've been doing all along. I majored in voice in college. I always was going to be on the stage, one way or the other. Now I chickened out because I wanted to be a jazz singer. I chickened out because at that time, I'm in my 70s, so at that time, or just got to 70, everybody was kind of doing drugs, and I didn't want to do that. I was scared, so I started meditating instead.
A different kind of drug.
Different kind of drug. But, I was going to always be on the stage. That has always been my passion. It's always been my heartbeat. And each of us have something like that. And if you watch and you look at the kind of careers that you're in, somewhere in there is the root of that thing that you do that makes you authentic and real. So capitalize on that, but find spaces where you can talk Talking makes a difference. And Nia is more innovative, and we have been pushing her more to talk, because every time she does, we all sit there and go, we just look at her like, hello, why aren't you talking? Well, I don't do that well. It's like, have you looked at yourself lately? You see, so much so, one of her professors just joined us tonight, so much so that she was asked to give the commencement speech at 33 at the School of Education that she graduated from. She's the commencement speaker.
George Mason.
Yes,
George Mason.
George Mason, yeah.
So, it's like the little things, because once you turn your light on, and speaking is the way to do it, speaking helps you turn the light on. Once you do that, then those are possibilities. The way that I close out our class now, our speaking class, is I say we take great people and turn them into great speakers. That's what we do. So giving you this experience, the only difference than Speaking with Impact, which is our public speaking class, the difference is our lens is now on women. And I think we hold such incredible power that the more we really start to talk, the more our world will begin to evolve and change. Our sitting by the sidelines, we just can't do it anymore.
Can't do it. Well,
but there was this one question that I really loved.
I want to get into questions.
There was this one question, I forget. You said something about, and I said, well, that depends upon whether or not you choose to use your power, or something like that. It was wonderful, whatever it was.
I've really asked all of them. What helps you feel grounded and fully present in high stakes moments?
Yes. That was the one. What makes you feel grounded and fully present in high stakes moments? And my question back to her was, what are you thinking when you're standing in the corner knowing that you know the answer? Because that's a high stakes moment. And that's the one where you assert yourself. You just have a conversation with yourself and say, okay, little self, you need to assert yourself right here. You need to talk about this because this makes sense to me and I have an answer. And the more you do that, the better you'll get at those high stakes moments. And stay in the ready position, because just like that rocket ship, it will ground that energy. So, because of course your legs are going to be shaking, and of course your stomach's going to be flipping, and of course you're going to be like, but that ready position will help you ground yourself and get that message out there with clarity.
Well, thank you, Denise, and thank you all for joining us. We talked about personal style, presence, power, but now we want to open up the floor to you. But before we do that, we wanted to let you guys know there was a little card that was on your chair, and there's more if you don't have one. But we wanted to offer everybody here tonight 30 minutes of free coaching. So if you don't really know your professional or personal brand, or you have more questions that we don't answer tonight, you can book some time with us to discuss more. And this is, Denise's time is extremely booked, so to get time with her is very rare. And as we know, a lot of high professional people and different companies all over the world work with Denise, so this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that we really wanted to share with you all.
They also
work with me too.
Yeah.
And my books are really busy too. But we want to open up the floor for any questions from the group or comments, experiences that you guys have had. Feel free to assert yourself in this moment.
I mean, it's worth it to get the coaching. It's just like, let's all go down to Saks, or now we can say, let's all go down to St. John and try on a bunch of stuff and find out who we are. I mean, sometimes you need the mirror. And one of the things that I think women do really well is we do community and we do relationship really well. Those are like, talk about superpowers, those are ours, community and relationship. So the more you can feed back to another woman something, the better. So a part of that creating yourself, that triangle of self-creation, part of that should be coaching. It absolutely should be coaching.
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
So, as an entrepreneur myself, and you do a lot of networking, and you go into networking events, how should you carry yourself in it? Should you just go straight to the bar and just start talking to somebody? Or should you make eye contact with someone that you might feel that is willing to talk to you, or just to break the ice and feel comfortable when you first walk into this networking events?
That's a good answer.
My strategy, I extremely introverted, but I'm good once I get there. But my strategy is to have a buddy. This is one of my networking buddies I rely on quite frequently, and Panya for the same. I have somebody that I can bring with me that I know I can talk to them at least, and they're also good at starting conversations, so it just really can flow from there. And going in with a strategy together, saying, and I tell this to my clients, I probably need to practice it on myself. Go in with a goal for 1 to 3 things that you want to accomplish, whether that's 1 to 3 people you want to talk to, handing out 1 to 3 business cards. Have a goal, and then even if you're there and you're scared, you can check those boxes. So for you, if that's, I'm going to start at the bar and chat with somebody. I'm going to make eye contact with 3 people. I'm going to tell 3 people my name. Start with those bite-sized pieces, and then once you get the flow going while you're there, then it becomes easier.
Yeah. I mean, and that eye contact is key. You have to, the eyes are the window to the soul. So when you look at somebody, you're letting them know that it's okay for you to talk to me. As opposed to, you ever had the experience where you're talking to somebody and they're like, yeah, and they're looking every place else but you. And it's like, why am I wasting my time talking to you? You're not even connected to me. So make sure that you really do look at somebody, really zero in on them. And the harder the conversation, the stronger your eye communication should be. And the nervousness is going to be running, but remember, that's energy. And so you utilize the energy
Get
by
into the ready
getting in
position.
that ready position and just look at
Let
the
the
person.
energy flow through.
You're looking at me?
Yes.
Hi. Hey, everyone.
Hi.
So for me, when you get into into a party, or as you were mentioning, I usually try to tell myself before, what should I be scared of? Like, there's nothing scary here, and that's what I do in this business. So I've been in sales for 30 years almost, and at times, it can be intimidating, helping a VIP client, or if you're called to help someone at the White House or here or there. But then I tell myself, what exactly should I be scared of? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, the buddy thing is great because you always have someone else's shoulder. But I think that if you're by yourself, if let's say she can't make it or I can't make it with you, you should be able to going, and maybe a little bit of alcohol can help.
A little bit of alcohol. That kind of helps.
And you'll be talking to everybody all night.
Right. Don't know what you're going to say, but you'll say something, that's for sure.
Just remember, women don't have a problem talking. We really don't. It's just take the nervous energy and move on it. Yeah, Casey.
I was saying, to piggyback off of what she said, because we go to a lot of events. And one thing I'm going to tell you is someone feels the exact same way.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
That's what you have to realize. And when you said eye contact, that's what I do. I find someone else that's in there probably a little nervous. You're going to find them, but you have to be observant and kind of take a step back. And then that's who you connect with. So maybe you make space for them. A lot of these events we go to, they're like tabletops. So we don't even have anywhere to sit down to really kind of get intimate. So maybe you have a tabletop to yourself and you make it more welcoming, or you're like, snot, or you compliment someone. I know with me, my way to really connect with people, I'm in sales too, been in sales for 10 plus years. So I say this to say, we are one of the pioneers of just putting ourselves out there, because we have to make money. But I say, we sell ourselves. But I say this to say, just make, like you're saying, make space, create space for it. But I always win when I compliment another woman, or a man, whoever, no matter where you are, compliment them, because you're breaking the ice. Because most likely they're nervous, just like you. So as soon as you say that, it's like, oh my God, I have a friend in here, and I'm pretty sure you guys are going to and be at the event navigating together, because that's what I always do.
That's usually what I do. And then when you make eye contact, you see somebody that looks nervous. So you go over and start talking.
Yes, exactly. And now we're nervous together.
Love it.
And talking.
Yeah.
In case you and I, we can come with you next event.
Yes. Love it.
Yeah, there's always, truly the conversation around going somewhere and really trying on something. I was just really happy I tried these things on today, because
Me
I'm like,
too.
oh, they're really nice,
Yeah,
But
push the envelope.
trying on something, there's nothing that makes you feel better. I remember, same same store in San Francisco. It was Nordstrom. Same store. They were a pair of, at the time, Cole Haan was a very expensive shoe. And those shoes were just beautiful. And I just decided I'm looking at Nina because she's always got the best shoes on. But I looked at those shoes and I said I had to have those shoes because they were going to make my whole outfit just better. And I just knew it. And probably my whole paycheck went to those shoes. But those shoes lasted forever. And I said something when we were doing kind of like a little dry run back there about classic. When I say uniform, usually my uniform is classic because, classic, like this is classic. Classic is usually the foundation. Then it leaves space. There's already a foundation there, so it leaves space for you to express, for your authenticity to come through. And then there's also trendy, because Nia was asking me about trendy. Trendy's a little bit different. Those are the days where you want to add a little pop. You're experiencing a little something, or you maybe had on I saw a woman who came in here today. She had these beautiful little flowers on her shoes. I mean, but those are but you could have the basic on, and that's how I did my little Cuba doll. You have the basic on, but you have something that says you, that you play with. But I feel strongly that you should have a classic outfit that you wear because you need to be the story, not the clothes. The clothes help. You need to be the story. And then when you come in that classic look and people have to raise their eyeballs, then you speak and it's a done deal. It's a done deal. Even if you are introvert, even if you're an introvert.
And people get the impression that you're somebody they should talk to.
First impressions are everything.
Yes, they get the impression.
Yeah.
First impressions are everything. Very much so.
Questions, comments?
No?
Well, now it's time to try on. So we suggest, what I did today is I tried something new for me. I don't typically do color. I don't typically do sparkly. And I love this outfit. So we want to encourage you guys, try on something that maybe you wouldn't try on, or try something new, and let's mix and mingle and have fun.
And talk to each other.
Let's
Really
express.
talk.
Women,
but before we
let's
let them off the
express.
hook, because there's people sitting out there who are thinking things. So I want to open that up one more time. Isn't there something that you want to bring up? Because women don't have a problem talking. We just don't. Isn't there something that you could just push yourself?
Go.
So I work in the medical field, so it's a little bit different. We already have our set uniforms. There's kind of like ranks already decided. So how would you go about asserting yourself when we have like 2 seconds to talk to the doctor above us and then they walk away, but we need to be like, oh no, that's not actually right, I need to look at this again. Or like some people I'll see, they just don't say anything and then you either do the wrong thing or they're just like running around wasting time because they don't want to go and tell the doctor, or like how do you assert yourself in that way?
It's so interesting you brought that up. I recently started a campaign for the medical industry and the healthcare industry because of that. There's a lot of miscommunication because people aren't speaking up or speak up too late, which is, it's tough. I think having the 3 key thing method is good, just being concise, keeping it short and to the point. Another thing that we do with a lot of our clients, and you can insert what you feel, is having a point of view action step benefit for an opening. That might be long, but you can quickly say, hey, this is essential. What I need for you to do right now, can you give me 3 seconds to listen to XYZ because we're having this issue. So just like quick
boom, boom, boom.
grab.
The point of view is a leadership conversation.
Yeah.
Because it puts your stake in the ground. Right. This is how I feel about it.
Right.
And it's strong, and it's usually will shake someone up.
Yeah. It allows them to really listen. Oh, she has a feeling, or she needs to be heard. And be like, I need 5 seconds of your time. But then give them a benefit too. Just not, I'm not going to waste your time. 3 quick things we need to run through before you move on to the next. Or
and
if
point
you
of
don't
view
get
is a
that
feeling,
time,
by the way.
Yeah.
Point of view is a feeling. It's like, it's critical, it's essential, it's important, I'm excited, I'm thrilled. any of those.
I'm
Those are
concerned.
point of views.
I'm optimistic.
We have people all the time that say, well, I really think, and it's like, no, it's a feeling. Because once you put your feeling out there, it gets people to listen. People buy on emotions. You can ask your salespeople back there. People buy on emotions and justify with facts.
So we want you to lead with an emotion to pull somebody in if you have a short amount of time to
That's
talk
what they
to them.
do. They will justify with facts. So you give them an emotion, then you back it up with some facts. But lead with emotions. Lead with the feeling. Right, sales folks? Yeah, people. Yeah, oh, I feel so good in this, and then they walk out the door, and they get out there and they go, why did I buy this? Because it feels good.
And then when they try to come back in the door, you just close the door.
Sorry, no.
That was my tactic when I worked at Nordstrom. I'm like, you're not returning that.
Yeah, different story. Different story. You also have a signature style. Do you know what it is, Briajani?
My personal.
Your hair is part of your signature style. It really is. I mean, I could just the way that you wear your hair, and I've always noticed that about you. You could have on pajamas and be looking good. So that's your signature style, and you also have just an incredible smile. So just remember that's your signature style, and whenever you have to show up in those uniforms, let that shine, because you already do. Yeah, that's what coaching does for you. Hey.
I have a random question.
Yeah.
I felt empowered to ask it.
Yes.
So what do you do if you finally find the courage to speak up and then you get shut down? How do you navigate that?
Ready position
That's a
is
good one.
critical in that time, because your energy is going to start spinning. And usually we make ourselves wrong. And probably what you said, there was nothing wrong with it. But we make ourselves wrong because all of a sudden we get shut down, or whatever happens. And you breathe during that time and you come back with your point of view.
Yeah.
Well, I believe, or I think, or not think, I feel.
Yeah.
You just come back, because what it's doing is building that muscle again. You've got to teach yourself how to stand in the fire and be all right with it. Even if your feet are burning, you stand right there and you know you can walk across those coals, you see. So the thing is you do it anyway, because it feels weird, and certainly the first couple of times it's going to feel very weird, especially in a circumstance where you know that you are taking a risk to say this thing. You know, so just say it.
I don't know if this is the correct thing, but that's been happening to me a lot recently, and I get extremely pissed. I get so mad, and it makes me want to shut down. But in a few of those scenarios, I have come back and said, I in the moment will call it out and be like, I just said that. That's what I said. And just stand in that and be okay with it.
Stand in that ready position.
But in another scenario, I was in a room where I read that kind of response wouldn't have been appropriate. So afterwards, when the larger group kind of dispersed, I told two people, one that I didn't know that one well and somebody I knew really well. I told both of them, this happened to me. I was inserting part of my conversation. I don't feel like I was listened to, and I didn't appreciate that. So I just confronted them afterwards, because I wanted to be part of the conversation. I was trying to insert myself and have fun, and it was a more fun setting, and I was still shut down, which just didn't feel good. So I don't know, it was scary to kind of say.
Stand in that ready position.
Sure. We can also just be like, let me say that again. Right? Or may I say that again? It also
Don't ask me.
I like,
Let me say that again is more assertive.
Because there are a bunch of people saying that.
Yeah.
But let me just say that again. I think you misunderstood me. You know, like I'm gonna put the ball in your court now because I think you didn't get it.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a good one.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna stand really very strong here, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna speak. I'm gonna say it again. What do you think?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. It depends upon the circumstance. When I say come back to your point of view, and then Faith, I'll let you assert there. When I say come back to your point of view, not all of us have a personality that can pull that off. You definitely do. And I know all of us, there's not anybody in here that isn't strong. And that includes you, Selena. Selena is very quiet, but when she is on her thing, she's on it. Right, Selena? She's very quiet. She's an introvert, but when she's on, she's on. So it can work in some circumstances if you feel you can pull it off, and that's a muscle that you can start to build. Remember,
that's why I had
there
to
are
be
layers.
extra assertive because I'm usually not.
She's
So for
not.
me to be like, I didn't appreciate that, or that's what I just said, I have to practice going over to the other side because I'm typically just like, sorry, I don't know.
Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd say, yeah, it depends on the context as well as what the situation is in terms of the rejection. But in the times that it's happened, maybe in the workplace for me, I've tried to ask the person to justify why they might be in conflict with me, and then that at least provides a common ground for us to share sides.
That's great.
Because I think when you're instantly like, no, this is what I said, or no, I'm right, it automatically puts both sides on the defensive. But if you're at least able to talk the ground truth and then be able to speak from like a common or like a grounded perspective, it's a lot easier to start negotiations. And then it could even just say like, okay, we can agree to disagree.
You can agree to disagree. There's no two ways about that. And you know, it's crazy that I keep saying get in the ready position, but those are the times when your energy is really running. That's where the anxiety, it's fight or flight. So the anxiety starts to come up. So grounding yourself in that ready position and breathing during that time. And breathing makes you listen to the other person. Whereas if you try to respond right away, it's coming from fight or flight. So your brain is in fight or flight. It's not trying to think rationally. So if you just kind of breathe in the ready position, then you have an opportunity to come back to center and find that space that's easier to talk to people
Because
from.
you know your facts. And something happened to me. I worked as a docent, tour guide, and I was doing this thing at the African American Museum, and I'm saying that this woman, Malone, was the first black, millionaire. And a person in the group, who I found out later was just rude, that's her. You are wrong. It took me apart. It took me apart because normally I would have said, you need to read your stuff, but I didn't say that. She should have read her stuff. And I just let her know, Madam Walker went to Mary Malone's school. And the whole thing, but my friends who were with me, I always had my little crowd, were like, don't worry about it, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She never apologized to me. I wasn't accepting apology. But I had another thing that I was really excited about that day that I wanted to do, and I didn't do it because this woman just took.
But that
everything
sometimes
out
will
of me.
happen too,
Yeah.
when someone comes at you like that. Stay in the ready position and breathe. It's very, very important because that's what keeps you from losing it all. And when the brain can come back to center, then you can actually make a conversation happen that comes from space like you talked
If I
about.
could have slapped her, I would have been better.
That would have been a little much.
I was just gonna say, obviously I'm in sales, I mean, I'm pretty much their neighbor, but I have a strong background in software development, network engineering, male-dominated fields. I also went to a 95% male college that was for engineering.
Oh my goodness.
I think it's especially important as far as like the ready position. I think it's also like an emotional stance too. The more you make sure that you're emotionally neutral before you go into these situations, I think the easier it is to communicate. And like I said, it's everywhere, but it's definitely something that gave me like my power operating in male-dominated spaces, leading all-male teams, especially when I did work for the government in my state, Massachusetts. Everybody was kind of like over 40, male, Caucasian. Like, honestly, I was actually the only woman they'd ever hired for the Port Authority.
I worked in the
to
railroad
manage IT.
industry, so I know exactly
Yeah,
what you
but you know what I
mean.
mean? It's just like we do go through these issues,
Yeah.
and then you kind of just have to know yourself, like, okay, I have PMS, so before I go into this, seriously, let me be really honest with myself. This is what I need to get across, and then you need to figure out, like, how am I going to use my powers to get those points across, I think, without even getting ourselves into an emotional banter, because we can be very emotional creatures. Like, that's our
Women are,
superpowers.
that's one of our superpowers.
Empathetic and more compassionate, but we can also get a little bit more upset and then sometimes get lost in those emotions.
I was upset.
Lose sight of it. So I feel like when you're getting in that ready position
And just
working
breathe it
with
out.
maybe
because like I always work with guys. It's like I'm real comfortable. I'm usually like this. Like you're not. I'm not in your space. You're in mine.
Yeah.
Kind of way.
Yeah, I love that.
You know what I mean? And then you just level yourself and say, okay, this is what they actually said. Versus like, okay, I'm gonna go home and punch air because I feel like they said.
And you still may go home and punch air, but it's okay.
Your point is probably gonna get across.
Yeah, point's going to get across. And one of the other reasons why I started doing these classes, because I was HP and Intel, all those people were my clients. It's like, oh my God, I'd be the only woman there and the only black woman there. So think about it. And I wasn't even a double E. You know, it's like, I'm not a double E, which is, most of them get 2 degrees in engineering. You know, can't just have 1. But what I really had was, I knew communicate. They came to me for something. I had communication skills. They were trying to learn it from me. Their company had paid for it. But the other thing that I've found out about working in those kinds of environments is the more you recognize that you are bringing something to the table. That's why those 3 questions are essential. It's funny because I just had a client tell me I'm working with, she's chairman of the board, I'm working with her CEO, and he's in the health field, and she said to me, I want you to do those 3 things with him because he doesn't know who he is, he doesn't know what he brings to the table, he has no idea what his personal brand is. So it's not just women, but we do bring something very unique, and that is, I started the Women Express and the women's seminars because our superpowers I was teaching to men. People were sending men to me to help them understand emotional intelligence, which means the softer skills. I'm teaching them how to build relationship. And I said, wait a minute, I could teach a bunch of women to do that and we could walk in and take over a company. Why? You know, but the problem that I have is women don't invest in themselves. So I have a hard time getting women to invest in themselves. So it's something that you have to really start doing is, you know, that's why I said you go in and try on the most expensive thing and say, yes, I can afford it. I'm not telling you to break your bank, but I'm telling you to trust that, you know, you deserve the best because what you bring to the table in the world is stuff that's like so essential and you live it every day. You know, you wake up and you go, okay, well, where's the dog? Where's the cat? Where are my kids? Where's my mom? Where's my sister? That's team. That's community. So when you teach these guys how to do team, well, maybe not in sports, but when you teach these guys how to do team, how to build relationships amongst their team members, it's all stuff that you wake up with every day. So start utilizing it more often.
Anya. I just wanted to piggyback off of what you two said about emotional intelligence. I don't find women to be more emotional. I find men to be more or even. It's just expressed very different.
It's very different.
I find them very emotional. I can't tell you how many times I have pissed a bunch of men off because I'm calm. And so it will launch a whole lot of arguments, and I learn when my voice is necessary and when it isn't, and when I need to go into that battle and when I don't. Because something I said doesn't always need to be repeated. And honestly, a lot of people notice and hear a lot more than you expect, and so you don't have to defend yourself. People see that. When you defend yourself, it's dog protests too much. You're looking a little bit, defensive.
Emotional.
So it's about emotional regulation, emotional maturity, and it's the work within yourself. Because if you feel good about yourself, if you're confident in your work and in yourself, nobody's bothering you, whether they agree with you, shut you down, or the other. It's I feel good about my work. I know what I'm talking about. If today is the day that I'm getting shut down, it's the day I'm getting shut down. But tomorrow I won't.
So might not tomorrow.
I think another thing too that people forget when they're in those positions is you are the expert. Nobody knows what's going to come out of your mouth, and you know what you're talking about. I think a lot of times we're like, well, I don't want to say that because I might be wrong, or maybe they thought I said it wrong. They're not thinking about those things. And even if you do get it wrong, you have the opportunity to correct yourself if you need to. But I think a lot of times people go into that scenario not trusting what they're actually saying. Just say it wrong if you need to. Just say it.
Oh yeah, I said that wrong. Oh well. Yeah, and I do believe that men are emotional, just different kind of emotion. Our emotions tend to be, we were told not to cry in the professional arena, and I think our tears are wonderful, but I always have a great time when I see a guy cry. It's like, yeah, thank you. You opened up that heart and you let it out. Woohoo! You know, it's really good because it's an emotion, and emotions are energy in motion. That's what emotion means. So it's good that, yeah, they definitely do. They have some emotions, and it's nice to be able to share with them and show them that, especially when I say, okay, tell me how you feel about something. What's your point of view? When I do that, it's like, oh, what's my point of view? I don't know. I was thinking. It's like, no, how do you feel? How do you feel? Because that's going to help people stay connected to you is when they know how you feel.
Yeah. You got ended with a history lesson on women.
It still gives her a little charge, but it's okay.
Yay. Well, yes, thank you guys so much. This was so fun. We appreciate all the contributions as well.
Thank you, Casey.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you, St. John.